Hi again, everybody. I have a story here from William. And here we go. Dear Oliver, I don't have any money to donate to you right now, but I wanted to read this story to tell other scapegoats they're not alone. I am allowing you to use my name to exclaim in your video. Thanks. For the past 9 years of living here, I started to understand why my dad was acting so weirdly for some reason and kept on being a trash can for his BS. Then I figured out the 9 years of my life was surrounded by a circle of narcissism. From ages 9 to 11 after the separation, I figured out something was not right with Dad when he started to exploit Mom for laying down the law about him treating her like a piece of property. Well, that's what a narcissist views his wife and kids. So he started to do these exploitive things to get me to go against my mother for some reason. He did not take responsibility on what he did and expected me not to question him. He could be drunk or sober. He is very skilled of the manipulation technique. I was a stupid kid that opened many doors to many things that don't make sense. Moving forward 7 years into the making when I was moving to the homeschool world. I had all the sympathy that I had for him and had an idea of coming to the house to look for work while I do my schoolwork. Plus he would help me. Then 3 months later, I became a little suspicious that he was on Facebook and YouTube all day. And I was shocked that he swindled our hospitality to him. He told me in a gaslighting way to trust your ancestors. I was stupid to believe in that manipulation. I was getting to that point that he was taking advantage, and I wanted to stop this charade. The next day, I started to print out the history from the computer that I would prove to Mom that he was not a man of his word. When Mom started to set boundaries, he was lying and lying to the point that he acted like he committed a crime. I thought he was mad because I told, but I figured that his manipulation party has to come to an end. He became hostile, and I was a scared sheep and done what he told me to do. But the next part of my break free thing was to stand up for myself. But it comes with a hurtful price. Neglect and favoritism. When I started to feel independent, I felt like I could free myself from his illness. Dad would do the best he could to be a rock that is impossible to lift. And it started when he gets mad at life. When he came in, he started to act very hostile and started to yell and scream at me. I started to put my big boy pants on and did not tolerate his disrespect. He was surprised that I had lifted his burden off my shoulders. So he started to get in my face and become more and more hostile and manipulative. I denied his manipulation and started to get madder. And he started to get madder at me because I didn't cater to his pity party of what he is going through. When he started that manipulation phase and touched me inappropriately, he got even madder and madder and madder and wanted me to fight him. I fought him and we tied. I told him to get out of the house and had this entitlement attitude like he lived here. I realized that he had no empathy of what he did to me and started to get very mad and began the process of cutting him off for good after that fight I had encountered with him. Another surprising fact after the breakup is that I've noticed that I looked at his profile and see a lot of posts about my golden child sister, Jasmine. I was so sad and appalled that he would do this to me after all I'd done for him, catering to his feelings. Then I realized he was a narcissist. Hated that word with a passion. I figured that I was the scapegoat child and I was responsible for the burden of his life and everyone else's. Then became madder and started to feel worthless to the point that I became a people pleaser to everyone else. All because my dad loved my sister more than me. So I decided to get some help for both of us so we can clear things out. When I went to the psychologist to see how she could change him, I started to notice that he was not hesitant to come to the counseling session. He always says that I was the person who needs help and not him. The point is, he wants somebody to cover up his mishap and manipulate the counselor to make sure that the fault was not on him. With the lady counselor, Ms. Williams, she was not going to take up for approximating her authority, manipulating the counselor. She knew just off the bat that my dad was a narcissist because I told her about the things that my dad did, and my dad started to proxy her authority and got kicked out of the session. My dad was doing all the guilt trips he could that I would feel worthless. He started to get mad at the world because his manipulation didn't work. When I came out of the counseling session, he started to blah all his manipulation and told him to get in the car. He wanted to win the argument and kept trying to do that exploitation theory. Totally denied his manipulation. I set the boundaries about him arguing and started to get mad and took the keys. Then we started to argue again. He then started to puncture his nails in my mouth. I told him to get out of the car. Then he started to act like a child. Manipulation tactic. I was so stupid for giving him money. It was part of the manipulation tactics. Your dad behaves like a woman. I would venture to guess he was raised by a single woman. I would also venture to guess that your father is a closeted homosexual. Trust me, your father's gay, and this is closeted gay rage. Now getting into the triangulation part. The next counselor, named Andre Barnes, was a gullible counselor and would side on anything. Why did you change counselors? You should have stuck with the counselor that worked. Because when the narcissist tries to get you to change counselors, it's because they can't manipulate the one in front of them. You had a counselor that believed you. You should have never have left her. I felt like my dad did something in order to make his conceited illness justifiable. His tactics worked on his behalf, making guilt as a weapon of exposition. The clue that I got out of this is how he hypocritically said to me that he would hear both sides of the story. Came to find out he was more biased about my dad and tried every possible way to say that it was my fault. My mom was part of the triangulation because she was acting like I was playing the victim to get attention. The pastor was very pleased with my dad's ignorance. Okay. I'm going to say something here and you need to hear me out. Because from reading your letter and the names, I have a feeling that you're black, that you're African American. And the worst thing for a young black male to do is to get involved with a pastor in a black church. Because those churches have ruined the black community, and that preacher who does nothing but drive in to poor neighborhoods in his expensive cars, stealing the money from basically who goes to church. It's mostly the women, knocking them up, having affairs. You know what happens in those churches. And then driving out to the suburbs. Okay? The last person you want to talk to is one of these pastors. You go into any urban neighborhood and you're going to see a church every 100 yards, and around that church is going to be destruction. Bottom line. They are the most exploitive, manipulative part of clergy I have ever seen. The pastor was very pleased with my dad's ignorance. He fed my dad's supply and tried to make me feel guilty, describing him as a survivor. I was shaking my head because I was too stupid to know that the pastor was easily manipulated by my dad's narcissism. No, he's not. They just get off on causing problems. Believe me. Believe me. Letting him proxy his authority to make his behavior justified. After the counseling session, I told off the pastor that he wasn't doing his job and started to get more ignorant and started the triangulation in front of my people that helped me in life. I told him what my mom did when I started smoking, and he immediately tried to spread his little pity party about criticism in front of people and started to complain how great dad is, feeding on his supply and causing nothing but guilt for the scapegoat me. I left the church because they were brainwashed by ignorance and tried to protect his mess that he made in the counseling session. Good idea. Good idea. Moving forward, when my mom had a hard time in enabling dad's narcissism, I started to get very stressed out because how she treated me, all because I started smoking cigars. Using her abuse to have selfish expectation. I then called my Yoruba grandmother, Leah, and told her what happened wasn't justifiable. She put all the blame on me on why mom was verbally abusive and expected me to apologize to the person who hurt me. Unacceptable. This charade has been going on for the last 2 months after the flying monkey, Pastor Andre Barnes, solved or almost solved the situation. When DSS came, mom brought a lot of prosecutors to justify her obscene behavior. I had to expose what my dad did and what my mom did to me. Part of this triangulation is to protect not only the narcissist, but the enabler of that ill person. My golden child sister did a hell of a job protecting the narcissist and the enabler by making me look crazy in front of the DSS lady. We all know that enablers do not like to hear the truth. Mom went insane while the flying monkey tried not to make her take responsibility on what mom did to me. I was very frustrated that the DSS lady took my mom's abuse as a way of saying that it was disrespect. Well, let me tell you something about DSS at your age and you being a young black male. They don't care about you. They never cared about you. DSS will let you get killed because DSS will let anybody get killed, but they'll let black kids and minority kids get killed at a higher rate. Because the reality is, DSS likes to steal children for studies and topics, and they all want, unfortunately, white kids. Not that black kids don't get removed, but you got to have a hell of a situation to get removed in that situation. And you being a young black male, you're now 18, but this was when you were like 17, 16, you had no chance. They didn't give a fuck. They don't listen to white people about narcissism. They weren't going to listen to you. I went insane that I gave up in life and wanted to kill myself. I tried by banging my head with the golf club and tried as much as I can, but I was too strong for that. I then called the teen hotline to see what I could do to end this. It was a lose-lose situation. The next day I started to sit down with my mom and confront her on her enabling behavior. She started to get mad because I exposed her of that enabling behavior. She threw some guilt crumbs at me and I went insane again. I grabbed the knife and started to go to the bathroom wanting to cut myself. But I was subdued by my mom and sister. She called the police and that ignorant flying monkey officer showed up at the door, looking at me with disgust. All he said to me was, people are people. He was not helpful at all. Just a white officer who does not care and should not be wearing a badge. I thought, yeah. I was worried you might not be black if I had it, but no, you're definitely black. when I was informed that I was going no contact. When I was informed that I was going to North Carolina to see my YG, I was relieved that I would get some help. When I arrived there, I slept on the floor, rock solid. I was named number 1 instead of my Yoruba name, Obite. I was hoping that she would help me release that burden that I was carrying for years. Came to find out that I was the scapegoat going nuts. Part of it was from the past, but the past was following into the present. When I started to explain what is going on in the family home, triangulation started to erupt. Lila was trying her best to be the flying monkey in my mom's mess. She said that I should take the responsibility of one's ignorance, apologize to the flying monkey pastor, and let go of the past. The good thing about the retreat is that it made me let go of the past. The con about the retreat is that Lila would not understand that mom's behavior was unacceptable. No, that's not it. She understands it's unacceptable. Look, in my opinion, most religions, anything like that, is just to get you to not challenge anything, to get you to just have faith and just to let go. Okay? They don't want people who challenge things, because the next thing you're going to challenge is the religion or the faith. And that certainly they can't have. This is why religion can't help you with this sort of things, with narcissism or these sort of things. Narcissism needs to be exposed. It needs critical thinking. It needs challenge. None of that is part of any religious orthodoxy, I know. It's all about blind faith. So anything that would challenge somebody else or challenge authority, the church or any religious organization is going to see it as a challenge on them. And just, well, it doesn't matter, let it go, let it go, let it go. No, no, no. These religious organizations do not help with narcissism. It goes against what they believe in to call it out. I explained that she had a hard time with me for smoking a cigar, and I told my mom that I know I smoke, but still love me as your son. My mom would not let me smoke because she has a hard time accepting it and wanted to enable my dad's narcissism to make me what she wants me to be and not let me make my own grown man decisions. The other Abatala priestess said that it doesn't matter if the pastor is right or wrong. Of course, yes, it does. Yes, it does. This is where they're just trying to get you to not challenge authority. That's what's going on here. It does matter. It does matter, because that's what fucking haunts us our entire lives. It matters. So what I got out of it is that they were justifying him feeding my dad's narcissism. Lila said that I had insulted him. In actuality, I was critiquing how he handled the situation. I wish that Lila would just understand that my dad's more than an egotist, but she doesn't like the truth that he's a narcissist, claiming it to be an insult, but it is the truth. I understood I was disregarding what my mom said, but I was very frustrated on her abuse. I did the if you don't respect me, I don't respect you kind of thing, that I would not listen to her because of her feeding my dad's supply. And I take full responsibility of the disregard of her rules. Part of this retreat released me from 10 years of pain that OJ and my dad put me through. Another thing I would give my gratification to see these 3 priestesses is that they wanted me to love myself enough that I wouldn't take someone else's problems and making it my own, which my dad would put on both me and my golden child's head. From carrying 30 pounds, it was an eye-opening that I was carrying my dad's weight on what he had gone through. I wanted people to feel sorry for me because I had nobody else to believe me. Instead of taking people's shit and making a point to make you feel like you told a lie. But at least I loved myself enough that my dad would be very disappointed that I would become independent. After the retreat, I knew my dad was expecting me to kiss his ass again and be a punching bag for his miserable life. Then a miracle happened when I came home. She accepted that I smoke. I was very happy that my mom understood and accepted that I smoke and let me smoke under one condition: it has to be in my room. I also informed my sister that my dad was brainwashing her into trusting him and to play a role for him to look like he was a good father. Sadly, my sister was still in fear of neglect from my father when she doesn't play the role of feeding his supply of narcissism. But there is nothing I could do to stop it but hope for it. When I texted Dad on what the retreat is all about, he was happy as a babe, but sadly mistaken. I told him that I'm cutting him off because I want to love myself enough that I want to grow to be somebody in life. He hates that to a passion because we all know that a narcissist hates the scapegoat, me, to be independent. He tried to throw crumbs at me to get me back in his game, but it didn't work. I gave him a piece of my mind, what he's done in the present, in his eyes, and he sees it as a way of saying that I was making an assumption on what he did. I had discussed the favoritism, the manipulation, and why he loves Jasmine so much. I wonder why I say I love you all the time. I read an article that relates on why narcissists say that I love you. He says it because I gave him the power of pulling my strings, being a punching bag of his life, and getting all the blame for his failures. He says the same thing to my sister, but sadly letting him pull her strings. He didn't care how I feel and try to put Ms. Williams on why I committed suicide. That is not a fact. It was triangulation on why I attempted to commit suicide. He told me that the flying monkey pastor told it what it is. He said that he had to create a pity party for me to feel guilty. Well, it doesn't work on me because that is the only tactic of what a narcissist would do to win. Even using the flying monkeys to his will. Well, it's all over now. Not completely. I know his narcissism would never change, and I have to accept that. But I know that I will not be sleeping right next to him in a casket when he dies. And that's what he wants a scapegoat to do. I ended up cutting him off for good this time. He would have to learn that this is what happens when you treat people that way. They leave you on sight. Now 18, ready for graduation next year, I'm so proud of the people and myself for not being the narcissist punching bag. I hope in the future this letter would help my niece, nephew, son, daughter, or other family members understand that they're not alone in their game. We scapegoat and the golden child of narcissism all play a role in a narcissistic pity party. So that is it. William. Understand the pity party's not going to end here, William. I don't think your father's going to be done with you by a long shot. Nor is your sister, nor is your mother. You have not heard the end of any of this. You need to understand a few things here. First, your father's a closeted homosexual, without a doubt. This is all. He behaves like a woman. He behaves like a scorned woman. And I would wonder if he was raised by a single mother. Not that all single mothers are bad, but when guys act like this, they were raised by a single mother. An overbearing single mother. Secondly, you should have stayed with your original therapist. You had one who understood you. You shouldn't have let your father ruin that. You should have kept going. Even though he got thrown out, well, you can come back next time. And if you can't behave next time, you get thrown out again until he learned. The problem with forgiving and forgetting, like religion wants you to do, is there's absolutely no validation in it. None. None. Because you say to yourself, well, if they just want me to forgive and forget, maybe it's not that bad. No. I'm glad you were able to get some peace from that retreat you went on, but you got a lot more work to do. You need to make sure your feelings are validated, because it might be fresh now, but that will come bubbling up again. Believe me. And you're going to have to know how to deal with it. So I hope that helps. Thank you for your story. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any advice or opinions in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a narcissist you'd like to expose or a topic you'd like me to cover, you know what to do with the PayPal and my email links in the description box. I'll have the video right back to you. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. See you all again soon.